Fine, I'll do it myself.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Fine, I'll Do It Myself live. The season finale of Avengers. That's right, we're doing Avengers. If you guys don't know what this podcast is because you're not one of the 10 people that subscribe to us on Patreon. Basically, Jason and I have been tier listing we tier listed all the Marvel movies that were out at the time, and then we've gone back and watched them one by one and re-tier listed them. We've done 9 other movies so far. We've been kind of behind, and this is kind of the comeback of it. You know, apparently it looks like episode 1, but that's okay because we're here doing it. We're having a good time. We're doing Avengers today. We figured that'd be a good season finale. So, you've been waiting on Avengers forever. Frank is absolutely right. So what we're doing today is
the only one waiting.
We're going to talk about Avengers. We're going to tier list it, and then we're going to talk about our plans for season 2 and what we're going to do there. But before we get into that, Jason, it's time to watch the Avengers trailer.
Yo!
Because we like to watch the trailer and stuff.
You were made to be ruled. In the end, it'll be every man for himself. What do we do?
We get ready. There was an
I miss
idea
Nick Fury, dude.
Me too.
to bring together a group of remarkable people. So when we needed them,
Like, there's a couple of people I was
they
like,
could
wow.
fight the battles
I forgot I missed these
that
characters,
we
bro.
never could. Gentlemen, what are you prepared to do?
No offense, but I don't play well with others.
Big man in a suit of armor. Take that away. What are you?
Genius, billionaire.
This
playboy
trailer's
fan.
pretty bad.
Yeah. But you can, like, see the bones of, like, how it is now, though.
Right.
If we can't protect the Earth, you can be damn sure we'll avenge it.
Also, that CGI that they end the trailer with, the worst Iron Man CGI I've ever seen. I remember watching the...
Your work is unparalleled, and I'm a huge fan of the way you lose control.
I feel like it wasn't that bad.
Like, if you watch him go into the city, it's just bad. He, like, rubber bands. It's not good. Okay. So that was the trailer. That trailer is
May
definitely...
2012, bro. That's crazy.
That's definitely an old-ass trailer, like
That was
the...
11 years ago, bro. My mind's imploding.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, just a few months before the world ended. Trailers have gotten so much better. I remember seeing this with Korn in theaters with zero expectations. That might have been our first dip into Marvel at that point. Then we went back and watched everything else. Yeah, so before we get into what we think about this movie now, let's hear what we talked about it without watching it in a while when we did our original tier list episode right here. The Avengers.
Dude.
That's an S tier movie. Dude.
Yeah, no question.
It's the best movie we've talked about so far.
Yes, by far. There's a reason that, like, even in, like, Hawkeye, there's fucking scenes from that movie, and I'm like,
we're still feeling repercussions from it. The only thing I'll say negative about it is
True.
some of the dialogue is very terrible Joss Whedon bullshit.
Yeah.
And obviously Joss Whedon, there's been some shit come out that he's not a great dude or a good director in a lot of ways. But outside of that, I think his writing is overrated. I think he did a good job with this movie, but I think this is like making mac and cheese, dude. You really gotta fuck up to make mac and cheese.
True.
It's bad, right?
True.
And
especially with everything already set up, right? Like they already had their own movies.
right. Like he really had to fuck this up to fuck it up, and he didn't, luckily. But there's just like the
Wrong tube.
what? Hey Thor, what's Loki's play? No one fucking talks that way. I don't care if you were frozen for the last 100 years as a fucking popsicle. No one says what's his play. No one. You're professional
tier, by the way.
football players who run plays every time they get out on the football field. Don't go, hey, Aaron Rodgers, what's his play? No one says that.
Mike's been wanting to say that for a long time.
I've been wanting to say that for that's the whole reason for
Yeah.
this podcast.
It's just for him to say that.
For me to
Who
dunk
knows if
on-
there will be another
to
episode
dunk
after
on
this?
fucking woman hater Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
All right, so
That's why we burnt out.
yeah. there are multiple people who say it, and we'll get to that, Diana. So we ranked it S tier, despite my qualms with some of the script and some of the writing. Some stats on this movie. It came out May 4th, 2012, day before my birthday. Shout out to that.
Hell yeah.
It had
Oh,
a
yeah?
budget of $225 million. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
It had an opening weekend of $207 million. So it
Okay.
almost made all its money back in the opening weekend.
Just the opening weekend, yeah.
And then it had a domestic take of $623 million with a worldwide of $1,515 million. I'm rounding
That's
there.
crazy.
Yeah, so it made a lot of money. It made it popped off. It was a big deal at the time. I remember
When
thinking
it like made the franchise too.
really,
So, like,
it really did.
it's unquantifiable.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
much money
It really
this
is.
movie basically
$1.5
made.
billion from one movie is pretty insane worldwide. So on a rewatch, Jason, what are your overall thoughts on this movie before we get into our like categories here?
Dude, it's still a banger, bro. I love it. I know I have like a little bit of nostalgia for it as well. That's part of it. But I don't think that's bad, you know? Like, it's still a banger. There's some cringe dialogue or whatever. But it makes me appreciate, the newer movies as well, but not in a way that makes me feel like this movie's any worse, even, Like it's got character.
Yeah.
IMO.
So here's the thing. I love this movie. I still think the New York invasion scene is maybe the best like part of any Marvel movie, like almost. It's top 5, right?
It's so good. It's so good.
I think the first half of this movie kind of drags.
A
Like,
little bit.
watching it now, I was kind of like, this kind of drags. And also, something I noticed this time, and Sean just mentioned it in the chat. This movie looks weird. Like, it almost looks like, I was talking to Tara about it, it almost looks like a TV movie. The way it's shot and the way, like, the color grading is. And I'm not, like, a big film guy.
I could see that. I could see that, actually, yeah.
I'm not, like, a big film guy that notices stuff like that, but I'm trying to be more critical. And, like, it looks like, and Joss Whedon, like, is mostly a TV director, so that makes sense, right? But it's like,
Yeah, it does.
it just looks like some of the, like, especially watching it in like 60 frames HD, which is what you watch it on Disney Plus now. Like, it just looks kind of like
Some of the helicarrier shots, I felt like that for sure.
yeah, some of the helicarrier shots. Definitely the first scene where like they're in like the shield base and like Loki's there, and it just kind
He
of
shows
feels.
up. Yeah.
I don't know. There are parts where it does not like it doesn't, like, obviously the last, like, the whole New York scene, like, it looks incredible still to this day. Like, they did a really good job with it. Yeah, the helicarrier, it feels, and maybe like this is with like hindsight of watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right? Where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. looked like that.
I never watched it, so.
I watched the first
I don't
couple
have
seasons
that.
of it. I'm not a huge fan of it, but like at the time I watched it because I was like, oh, this is gonna tie in, so I have to watch it. Joke's on me, it doesn't. I mean, it did, but it doesn't. It doesn't matter.
Not anymore, really, no.
But yeah, so no, I was a little underwhelmed by this movie until I got to the New York scene, which is just an incredible, like,
Yeah.
fan service.
It's just everything you want them to do.
It's everything you want it to be. They hit it out of the park in that scene. And to me, that almost makes up for like how, because it almost builds to it. It almost makes it better, that scene, because you're like sitting there like, man, I wish I was in that last scene of the movie, right? Like, and then when you get to it, you're like, oh, thank God, finally. You know?
Yeah.
And it's not.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I enjoyed myself rewatching it. It's been a while since I rewatched it. Tara was watching it with me, and I was like quoting lines, and she's like, "You have seen this movie way too much."
Yeah,
was
I
like-
have no idea how many times I've seen it, honestly.
Like to the point where I didn't have a chance. We were originally going to do this during the charity stream, if we hit the goal. I didn't have a chance to watch Avengers, and I was confident that I was going to be able to do this show still without watching it. That's how much I've seen it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm glad I got to watch it again because I think my thoughts on it are a little different, but
more clear.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else you want to say, like overall thoughts before we get into like category stuff?
Like as overall,
Yeah.
not really. Nothing I can think of. I mean, it just, I don't know. I don't want to get into spoilers of where
right. We'll
I
get
want
to it
to
all.
rank
We'll get
it
to it
and
all.
shit. You know.
Yeah. So first off, shitty IMDb trivia. I got a couple shitty IMDb trivias for you guys.
Okay. I like this.
First of all, and this one's well known, but I like this one. Robert Downey Jr. kept food hidden all over the lab set, and apparently nobody could find where it was, so they just let him continue to do it.
Yeah.
In the movie, that's his actual food he's offering to Bruce, and when eating it, it wasn't scripted. He was just hungry. So like those blueberries that he offers to Cap and to Bruce Banner, he just had those because he's Robert Downey Jr. He does whatever he wants. And then
That's
director,
so goated, dude.
yeah, Robert Downey Jr. is the best, dude. The other trivia fact I have is director Joss Whedon encouraged improvisation on set. Reportedly, Iron Man's "Let's just not come in tomorrow" speech was improvised by Robert Downey Jr., as was Tony's remark that his arc reactor is a terrible privilege. Whedon also suggested Shakespeare in the Park to Downey Jr., who then added the line, "Doth mother know you weareth her drapes?" himself. So, Robert Downey Jr. is that kind of actor you gotta unleash, right?
Go.
Yeah. I wanted to say this before we got in IB trivia and I forgot. Obviously, Joss Whedon has been outed as kind of a terrible person. There's been some. We're trying to go through this as kind of just, hey, let's talk about the movie, not necessarily him.
Just the movie.
It is a little impossible when like, dude makes women be barefoot every chance he gets. Like stuff like that. He's a bit of a like, why is Pepper like Pepper Potts makes sense being barefoot. Why is Black Widow barefoot? You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of weird, but we're gonna try to go on from that without worrying about. I'm gonna critique him based on his script writing and not necessarily how he's a terrible person, because I'm not a huge fan of his dialogue. But we'll get to that. So that's it for shitty IMDb trivia. The other trivia wasn't. Those were the best ones I found. I didn't really find a really shitty one. They were just kind of all mid. You think there'd be more
RDJ
trivia
and then mid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, with so many big people involved, it's probably just a lot of things just lost to time,
Well, there was like the one that's like, oh, one time Chris Evans sent a text to everybody saying assemble, and it's Clark Gregg's favorite text he ever got. It's like, okay, I don't fucking care. Like, why? That's not a fact about the movie. I'm glad they're friends.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. So let's kick this off crazy with best scene, Jason. What's the best scene in the movie?
Dude, yeah, like there's just like literally no contest when they're all fucking back to back and it's doing the wraparound shot. Like there's
is
just
not
no
even
contest.
Close. It is not even close. That's the best
it's
scene
the
in the movie.
definitive answer.
The
It's
only
the
other
definitive
scene
answer.
during the movie where I was like, okay, this is dope, is the Germany scene when Loki's like making the people kneel,
I do like that scene.
and then he does a
I
speech.
really like Loki.
I really like Loki. I like how he throws the guy on the table and grinds his eyeball, and he's like smiling vindictively, and he makes everybody kneel. And then there's
I like how he's literally the second he comes through the portal, I literally have in my notes, bro is the smiling imp emoji
He really
as he
is.
comes out of the portal. Like he's literally doing the like bro's
he
looking
really
like
is.
the Grinch, bro.
yeah, he's a mean one. He's a mean one.
It's so funny.
The Germany scene's dope though, because we get the guy to stand up that says there are always men like you, like literally comparing Loki to Hitler, which is pretty hype.
Yeah.
And then Cap comes in, and like I have this conundrum in my head, Jason, because I hate the band AC/DC, right? You know this. I don't like their music. I think all their music sounds the same. I think his voice is terrible. And it just
I think it's funny.
they're
Heavy
right,
rock metal.
at best. At best, it's funny, right?
Yeah.
At best, it's funny. but there's something
It's
about
only for
Iron Man
badass
showing
men.
up. There's something about Iron Man showing up to AC/DC songs that just like I'm just hype about it, dude. Like shoot the thrill, and he's like, "Did you miss me?" And he comes in, you know, and he has all his weapons on Loki, and I'm just like, hell yeah. So that scene is good, but it's just nothing in comparison to the New York scene, which I think we're gonna talk about more in Biggest Pop Off when that comes up. But
Probably, yeah.
there's just every like from like. Oh shoot, we're being raided. Hi, KT Wayfinder. Hi. We don't have raid alerts. We're doing a live podcast right now, but thank you so much for the raid.
Thank you.
Welcome everybody. We're talking about Avengers, so I'm sure everybody's seen that movie, so stick around and hang out. But like, I mean, what's your if we're talking about like that New York scene? What is like the best part of that scene to you? I guess we'll just do it. Biggest pop off. What's the biggest pop off? Because it's gonna be in that scene,
biggest pop off. Dude, it's gotta be fucking. I'm always angry.
Yeah,
you know,
that's my secret, right?
That's my secret. I'm
like
always angry.
Seeing this movie as much as I have, and seeing that like scene again, I still just like, oh, that's so fucking cool, dude. And he just turns around and punches the thing, and it like, and then they do the shot, the sweeping shot around them as they're all assembled back to back, and like, it's just so cool, man. That is so cool. My other one, and there's gonna be a lot that I'm calling from this like New York scene, but the pop off where you're following Iron Man. It's like one shot, like it shows all of them doing something, and it's like it's not really one shot, obviously, because there's a ton of CG, right?
Right.
But it has like it has Hawkeye shooting like multiple things off the thing, and Iron Man flies by, and you follow him, and he lands, and he beams Captain America's shield, just like in
Ultimate Alliance.
Just like an Ultimate Alliance. And I was like, I remember being in the theater losing my goddamn mind about that. Because you and I played a ton of Ultimate Alliance, like even before we like streamed it or whatever.
I was Leo in the chair and I was pointing. I was like,
oh my god, that thing. Like I remember just absolutely losing my mind about that. And then it goes to one of those big snake things, and Hulk and Thor are on it. And they're like beating it up, and then Hulk pulls the scale out and shoves it in, and Thor smashes it with his hammer into it, and it crashes.
That part is really good too.
And then it ends.
I forgot about that scene.
It ends with the shot of them standing there like satisfied, and then Hulk just punches Thor off the screen. That whole like scene, that one shot is so fucking cool. I love that. And that to me is like the biggest pop off moment. But there's so many other good things about the New York scene. There's the puny god moment.
Yep.
The Ragdoll Loki moment. Thor on the fucking Chrysler building, just electrifying like the things as they come out of the portal.
That's so cool. Like that is so cool. I love that part.
I do too. Hawkeye shooting the arrow at Loki, and he catches it, but then it's an exploding arrow because of course it fucking is, and he just goes down. Anytime Hawkeye no look bows somebody, dude, I'm popping off for that.
In my notes, I have like I did not realize how much I miss Hawkeye, bro. Like, I want him back, bro. I don't care.
Hawkeye's dope.
Yo, Jeremy Renner, sign another contract, bro. I need old man Hawkeye.
Shout outs to Renner. I hope he's doing okay with like that injury he had and everything that's been going on with that. But man,
I need him back. I need him back.
The Black Widow launch into the air scene where she gets on the whatever those are called that the Shatari are driving.
She hijacks it basically.
Jarvis,
that reminded me so much of Ultimate Alliance 1, where they're like jumping onto at the very beginning.
Oh
jumping onto the ships as they're bringing in troops or whatever.
Right. The Jarvis, have you ever heard the Legend of Jonah? I don't believe he's a role model, sir. And then he goes inside the fucking thing and comes out of it. Like, and just everything about the scene is so cool. And then finally, it culminating with Tony making his sacrifice play to launch the nuke into space. And just everything about that scene is so cool. And it's like, it's so cool. Like, there's just no other way to say it. And that's why it's the best scene. And that's why the biggest pop-offs are definitely in that scene, for sure. So another one of our categories that we do is good villain or bad villain. Is Loki a good villain in this movie, Jason?
I think so. Yeah,
I agree.
He's good. He's good. He gets it. The like we talked about earlier, like the Germany scene. I really like. Yeah, I agree with Sean. Easily best of phase 1.
Yo, thank you, Tyler.
And
We'll get you on still.
we have you penciled in. You know.
Pencil can be
But yeah.
erased.
I really like it. It makes me think about how Loki's character has evolved over time, you know, watching the show and everything. But I really think so. Like between Thor 1 and 2, I was definitely somebody who liked Thor 2 a lot more than most people. But I just love that they let Tom Hiddleston cook, bro. Anytime they let him cook, it's a dub. He's just so good at Loki. It's crazy.
Well, and not just like he's not he's evil, but he's not like, you know, irredeemably evil. Like you see like the
you like him.
You like him, you want him to like turn back around, and you see the conflict within him, but he feels like he's unredeemable, right? And like that makes a good villain, you know.
He's just like too prideful, like he just wants to do it himself, you know?
Diana, that is actually a really good scene when Captain America gives them all orders, and then the cops are like, "Why should we listen to you?" And then he beats up a bunch of Chitauri, and they go, and then the guy's like, "All right, I need men in this building. I need a perimeter down here." Just repeats what Captain America said. Yeah,
dude. Speaking of that scene, bro, then there's like the chick in the diner. She's the love of my life, bro. Like randomly, she just gets like a ton of screen time.
So,
just this random chick. That's a scroll, by the way. That's how I know. It's a psyop.
She's the scroll.
She is the Fed. She is the scroll. It's a psyop. Don't fall for it, guys.
So she had more scenes that were cut where like Captain America would go to that diner when he was trying to like fit in the world. And so that's why that's why it focused on her so much, because originally she was supposed to be in the movie.
She had some scenes earlier.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why she's just like randomly like seems to be very important to that part for whatever reason.
Yep. It's because she's a scroll.
But yeah, I agree that Loki's a good villain because the best villains are like people who are redeemable, and he's redeemable. He did something really horrible. But we see a lot more of him after this. But in the movie, the way they made there be some kind of like higher power influencing him really helps with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if it's just kind of
not really
Thanos.
his fault. Yeah.
It's Grimace Thanos, you know. So what do you think is the worst scene?
I'm so glad they fixed him.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
the worst scene in this movie.
I didn't when I was rewatching it, I didn't remember all the like segments that we had because it's been so long. Let me think. Worst scene. You go ahead first.
Yeah.
I'm
so
gonna quick.
I don't have a worst scene necessarily. I do think the first half of the movie kind of drags. And I will say, I went into the script and I Control Left and I typed the word play into the script. Okay? Because I hate the Joss Whedon dialogue, right? And
What's their play?
Play came up 19 times. Okay. Now, some of that was like in a compound word or played or, right? But I pulled 5 quotes that just like make me go, ugh. So, actually 4 quotes. I'm sorry, 4 quotes. So at one point, Cap says, "Loki's going to drag this out. So Thor, what's his play?" And you're like, okay, Captain America would maybe say that.
Yeah, believable, I guess.
Believable.
Yeah.
And then later, Natasha to Loki says, "So Banner, that's your play?" So it's like, okay, like they're relating to what Captain America said. Which, by the way, that scene kind of pisses me off. And here's why. I'll take a quick side tangent into my tangent here. They do this thing that Joss Whedon, it's a trope that Joss Whedon does where he makes a woman seem really vulnerable, but really she's like a badass, which I have no problem with. I think that's great. But the problem is, I don't feel like she actually fooled him. Like, I'm watching that scene, and she, like, starts crying, and he's like, he calls her, like, a whispering eye or some shit. He calls her some, like, weird vagina thing. But, like, she goes, "You're a monster." And he goes, "No, you brought the monster." And then she's like, "So that's your play?" I don't think that's, like, I mean, clearly that's his play, but it's not like she got him. Like, that's, like, it's not like she, like, she got some crazy intel out of him. Like
That's true. She definitely it does. She kind of jumps the gun.
She's
but,
like, gotcha, and it's like, wait, what? No,
she
you
did
didn't.
get him though. She did kind of get him though.
Well, yeah, in the sense that like she faked being sad and he bought it, but like she didn't like get any information. He already mentioned Hulk multiple times, like to Nick Fury. Like, he goes, this cage wasn't built for me, I suspect. You know, like he talks about. So like in that regard, Nick Fury should have been like, ha, you want to unleash the Hulk? Gotcha. Like it doesn't make any sense. That scene kind of like drives me a bit nuts. Anyway, Carson, thank you so much, dude. I'm glad you can dust off your sub badge. So those are the 2 first plays. The third play is to Tony, you're not the guy to make the sacrifice play. And it's like, okay, I've had enough of the using play in this way. And then finally, Hawkeye goes, he's going to make his play soon enough. And it's like, you guys, like, no one talks like this. I know I made the rant in the original episode. No one talks like this. And it's so Joss Whedon, and it drives me nuts during this movie. Other than that's not a particular scene. That's obviously a collection of scenes. I think I do agree with Sean that Hawkeye just getting banged in the head and suddenly not being mind controlled anymore doesn't make a lot of sense and is kind of cringe. I think that whole
It works for me.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Fucking rebooted his ass, bro.
I also, yeah. I also gotta say, I don't buy Coulson being the reason they assemble. You know what I mean? And it's not really, but they try to act like it is. Like Thor knew him kind of. Iron Man knew him a bit. Captain America just met him. I don't know.
But he had the Captain America trading cards, bro.
I just don't.
Covered in blood.
I don't buy that. Like that just seems. It's just kind of like, and I get it. They had to lose at some point to like avenge, right?
Yeah.
Nick does manipulate him, but it's like I just
sure.
don't buy that. I don't like. I don't even buy Iron Man being as upset as he is, even though he kind of knew the guy. He was annoyed by the guy, you know. And then he's like, "We're not soldiers," like, oh, which might be my fortify your minds moment. I don't know. Tony, RDJ really goes for it with "We're not soldiers" to Captain America. That one's pretty funny to me. So I guess that's what I would say. Do you have a worse scene, Jay?
Not really, honestly. Like there's like a little bit of parts where like it might drag a little bit or whatever, but I understand the purpose of like pretty much every scene. Like I guess
I like Coulson, Carson. I just don't think he would be a reason why these people who barely knew him would like come together to stop Loki.
I guess if I had to say like worst scene, it just doesn't even feel like it's like worthy of being called worst scene because it's just kind of a throwaway setup scene where like she goes to get Banner. It just feels a little long. IMO.
I remember thinking
it's just a little long.
Okay, so I really liked
when I'm in that scene, I'm kind of like I'm just ready for this part to be over.
No, I agree. And I remember in theater, I was a big fan of Ed Norton as the Hulk. Like, I actually really liked that casting, and I think Ed Norton's a really good actor. And then when they announced Mark Ruffalo was taking a spot, I was kind of like, I don't know how this is going to go.
Like, who's this fucking guy?
And then, like, he was kind of like, some of his humor in that scene kind of came off as cringe to me. Like sorry, I didn't mean to be mean. I just wanted to see what you do. Like,
yeah. That line isn't great.
What about the big guy? And I was kind of like, I remember in the theater being like, oh no, I don't like this. I've come around on him, and even in this movie, I came around on him.
Yeah.
And so I think retroactively, it's fine.
In the scenes with RDJ and like where he's like Tony's poking at him and stuff, I really like him in that.
Yeah.
He comes off as being like, yeah, I'm a dangerous guy without having to be like, I'm a dangerous guy.
Yeah. And so I think what I don't like is like the writing, not necessarily the character, right?
Yeah.
Right there. So, but I agree that scene's a little tough. it does like build up like what the scene they have later when she has to run from him scared. So I do enjoy like that she
like that's
you
the
can tell,
setup, yeah.
right, that she's terrified of him. I do
And
think
that's
their
what I
connection
mean,
in
like,
later
it's-
movies is forced as well, Diane. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's what I was saying. Like, it doesn't really feel like it's like worth calling it the worst scene, you know, because I understand that it's to set up her like getting
Right.
chased later, and it's just like a general setup scene. It's at the very beginning of the movie,
Yeah.
pretty much. So
Yeah, and to Sean's point, I don't think there is like a bad scene in this movie. There's just scenes that are like, okay,
yeah. Don't feel as good.
they're just like, okay, this is fine. But I think that's partly because the end of the movie is so great that you're like sitting there waiting for that, right?
That's
You know
part
what
of
I mean?
it too. Yeah.
So best Marvel Easter egg, and this one's tough because I don't know that there are a lot because it's like kind of everything they've done so far put into like one movie, right? I'm trying to think.
Thanos.
Yeah, you
It's
could
an
say
Easter egg.
You could say Thanos. One that's like kind of like a walk to get there, but there's a point where Bruce talks about he kind of like it's kind of a no one asked moment. Like they're all arguing
asked?
they're all arguing in the helicarrier, and then Bruce is just like, I tried to kill myself. And everybody's like, wait, bro, like where did that come from? No one was even talking about that. He goes, I put a bullet in my mouth and I spit it out. The big guy spit it out. Because originally in the first Incredible Hulk movie, that Norton one, they were going to show a scene where he tried to kill himself, but Hulk wouldn't let him die. And so to me, that was like kind of like, oh, they're saying that scene was real, but they just didn't show it, you know? So I guess that's kind of like an Easter egg in a roundabout way. I'm trying to, the Thanos thing was a big
best
deal.
Easter egg is that Tony is wearing a Black Sabbath T-shirt.
That's a good
like,
Easter egg, yeah.
The entire helicarrier.
It's not a
segment.
Marvel Easter egg, but it's an Easter egg.
It's a good Easter egg. He's drippy with it.
Yeah, because they don't even really like. Besides Thanos, I almost said Thantos.
Thanos.
Besides Thanos, they don't really hint at what's next, right? Which is interesting because I feel like they don't leave movies or the TV shows now without giving you something, right?
Yeah,
They don't-
I
they
mean,
don't-
there's this shit with the Tesseract a little bit, like that. It's like, oh, it's not like the Tesseract. We got it locked up type
Right.
thing, you know.
Yeah.
And like Nick Fury has it or whatever.
There's a lot in this movie that reads differently now, but I wouldn't call them Easter eggs. Yeah, like there's not something like in Iron Man 2, you see Captain America's shield when he's like, you know, when he's like making the new element or whatever. And like that to me is like that's an Easter
I guess
egg,
there's like
right?
a Civil War like setup, I guess, but that's not like an Easter egg, you know, like when Nick Fury's talking to the like a board of fucking random directors or whatever,
Yeah.
you know,
Dude,
shadowy organization.
I remember
He's
hating
like-
those scenes when I originally saw the movie. Now I love them because Nick Fury just pops off on them constantly.
Yeah.
I recognize
Shut
that
the
you made a
fuck
decision,
up.
but since it's a dumbass decision, he just fucking pops off on those guys constantly, dude. It's so funny. I fucking love Nick Fury. All right, so yeah, the random guy playing Galaga is funny too. That's another good one. That's like
Yeah.
a Mike Myers joke in this movie randomly, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a random Mike Myers joke.
Not you,
I
number
think
two.
RDJ
Not you, man,
made that one up,
arbitrarily
too.
pushing buttons.
I think RDJ made that one up, and then Joss Whedon liked it, so they shot a scene where they showed the guy playing Galaga. I'm pretty sure. I also in that scene I also like. when he's
Imagine you're
like,
working on set and Joss Whedon comes up to you, like you do like the props and like everything, and they're like, so on the screen, I need Galaga gameplay.
Right. Right. I also like when he's like, how does Nick Fury see this console? Because he covers his eye. And Maria Hill's like, he turns. And he goes, that sounds exhausting. So fucking stupid. Okay, so
That's good.
we have the Wong, fortify your minds quotes of the movie. So for people who don't understand what this is, we started this halfway through the season when we were like, Wong just, in Multiverse of Madness, he just pops off with this, fortify your minds. and we had been like watching
Just a line that really stands out,
Yeah,
basically.
and like literally any movie Odin's in, he wins the category.
Pretty much,
He's
yeah.
like, you are not king, like that, you know. So it doesn't have to be like a cool quote. It just has to be delivered
Or Mimi, or just a memorable line.
right, a memorable line. I really like for me is towards the end of the movie, Iron Man's passed out and they're all just standing around him, and Hulk roars, right? And RDJ goes, "What the hell?" as he wakes up, and Hulk's just like, "Roar!" You know what I mean? That shit kills me every time. Ooh, Puny God's a good one too. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I read that Mark Ruffalo improvised Hulk growling during the Iron Man scene. Like, because, he CG'd the whole... He was the first Hulk actor to, like, be Hulk the whole movie. And he I don't know what he did, but he like, fucking made that line up, and Robert Downey Jr. was like, "What the hell?" And they kept it. Which I think is fucking hilarious. What's your...
That's great.
Yeah, they actually zapped him with gamma rays for the role. It's nuts. True.
My line is "You want me to put the hammer down?"
Yeah, that's good.
when they're fighting each other.
And we didn't talk about that scene, but that is like probably the second or third best scene in the movie.
Yeah,
like you could sit with them fighting, because it's cool, because it has a lot of cool stuff in it. It has RDJ getting zapped, and he's like 400%. Oh, would you look at that? Like
yeah.
and
That shit is sick.
yeah.
And it's like that scene really sets up the New York scene too, where they're like, okay, we can work together.
And
even though before we were kind of fighting, like they kind of
and it kind of like very loosely in Endgame, when the three of them are fighting Thanos, it has like traces of that scene, except they're working together, right? It's just the three of them fighting him, and that's really cool. That's what
like a really good callback.
Reminded me of that for sure. Okay, so this is a new segment Jason suggested before the show. Who in this movie is a Skrull?
Who's scrolling it?
The Sean_AFK scroll time. Who's a Skrull? Jason suggested the waitress lady. She might be a Skrull.
Yeah.
Sean watch, Scroll watch even. I think that if we would have been doing this in real time when the movie came out, we could have been like, who's a Hydra agent? And it would be like, Jasper Sitwell is definitely a Hydra agent. I'm calling it right now, and then we would have been right. Who's a Skrull though? I think Maria Hill might be a Skrull.
At this point, you think she's already a Skrull?
She's already Skrull. She already is. Mostly because I don't trust her, because she plays Robin on How I Met Your Mother, so she's sussy.
Well, because the idea is that, like, after this, Nick Fury goes into space, right? I don't remember what the exact timeline is.
No, it's
because they show he's in space later, but I don't remember at what point.
It's after Winter Soldier.
After Winter Soldier.
Sean, I don't know. I don't know what this segment is.
I think it can be both. Like who if you had to choose somebody who is a Skrull, or like where you're just like, yo, this person's acting is just like out of character. Like they just seem sussy, Like they gotta be a Skrull, bruh.
Yeah, I'm still going Maria Hill. I just think she's a Skrull. She just seems Skrull-like.
Yeah.
Gal Gadot's a Skrull, maybe.
Yeah, dude, he's used to like doing spaceships, and now he's just on some shitty helicarrier,
I think it's tough to like pick a Skrull when like there's a bunch of characters that are like mind controlled by Loki,
That's true. That's
like,
true.
Selvig is acting out of character, but that's because he's like...
Yeah. Dude, low-key, I feel like Coulson's a Skrull the whole time.
Isn't that like the plot of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I don't fucking know.
I think
I never watched it.
Isn't that the plot that like he's not a Skrull, he's something else. He was like Kree, that's right. He was brought back with Kree technology is what the fucking lore is of that. And then they were like, this is stupid. Let's stop this show. So, all right, Carson's definitely a Skrull, dude. that's sus.
No one. That's like when you saw somebody in Among Us and they're like, wait, what's an imposter?
Yeah, ain't no way, dude. All right, so the Stan Lee cameo. kind of a small one, but
Scrolls Among Us.
scroll. The Stan Lee cameo, it's on the news report towards the end of the movie, and he looks at the camera and he goes, "Superheroes in New York, give me a break."
Yeah,
And it's
that's a good one.
it's a pretty good Joss Whedon, what the fuck, Stan Lee cameo. I like it. Joss Whedon is a scroll for sure.
Yeah.
He's super scroll, honestly.
No, he wishes he was Super Scroll.
So we rarely say there's a bad Stan Lee cameo, but that one's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that one's good.
What's the most memeable moment of this movie, Jason?
Most memeable.
Mhm.
I feel like the "I'm always angry" line I've seen a million memes of.
Do you know what it is, though? There's the scene where Captain America says, "I get that reference," and it cuts to Tony, and he has his arms crossed, and he rolls his eyes. That meme is everywhere.
That's
People
true.
use that
That's true.
all the time.
Those
that
are
is,
still
like,
relevant.
A still very relevant meme. To the point where
That's
I forgot it was in this movie. And then when I watched it, I went, "Oh, that's the meme of I thought it was like he was on a red carpet or something, and he was rolling his eyes. I forgot it was from this movie.
Yeah.
Be careful how you speak of my brother. He killed 50 people in 2 days. He's adopted." The argument between Cap and Tony is the most I've seen, but changing the dialogue, like when they're arguing in the lab. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's other memes that we missed.
Like I very recently saw one where it was like the Hulk is like a toddler, right? Like over top the text says toddler, like when he's in the "I'm always angry," and then the giant space thing is a pit bull named Princess.
Poor Princess. Pineapple on pizza, no. Civil War logo. Okay, yeah, you know what? I've seen that too, Diana. You're right. All right. So, nitpicks. And we know, like, these superhero movies are supposed to be unrealistic, but let's do a little picking of nits here. My first one, Jason, is, could Black Widow and Hawkeye really hang here?
I think they do a good job of making it believable. Like they're just taking on the shitters, you know? Like these are hive mind Chitauri. Like they're just fighting them. They get to do cool shit. Like hijacking, like stabbing into like knives into the back of the Chitauri's arms to be able to drive it and shit. It makes sense. But I think
be fair,
the second it's because they literally only had like like Chitauri and then the massive like snake boys. If there was anything in between there, I think they struggle.
Yeah.
But they only have to deal with the shitters. So
yeah.
I think it's fine.
I do think they do a good job of like Black Widow just being absolutely exhausted before she decides to go like take down the scepter and all that. Like she's fighting for her life. It feels
very grounded. Yeah.
But it's still kind of like Hawkeye yes and Black Widow no, and it's exactly why you think okay, Carson. Come on, dude.
You gotta add smiling imp emoji so people know you're joking.
Come on, man.
Right? You're joking, right?
All right. So now let's go to a bigger nitpick. So they spend all this time in the first Thor movie talking about how Thor is going to miss Jane because he can't get to Earth. It's like fucking impossible. The Bifrost is broken. Motherfucker's mourning the whole time in Thor 2. He's just wearing a black cloak around everywhere because he's sad and he can't get to Earth. But all they do is, Father must have used a lot of dark energy to get you here, Thor. Boo, boo, boo. It's like, that is so lame. Like, such a lame, like, hand-wavy fucking, like, excuse to, like, get Thor there. You know? Like, that is just, like, so, like, bad to me. And I get it.
Yeah.
But it's like,
because the alternative is like you either have like some extensive Thor scene at the beginning, which there's no room for, or he's just not there. And
yeah. I mean, that didn't stop Age of Ultron.
So I take it as it is.
That did stop Age of Ultron from trying to derail the whole movie with some Thor
Yeah.
scene that didn't make sense. That's for sure.
Exactly. So I like it as it is right now.
Yeah.
I prefer.
So that's a big nitpick. So another nitpick I have is the nuke. So this council sends the nuke, right? Which, hey, sure. Yeah, they want to save the Earth, and they'll get rid of New York. Right?
Which is insane.
And I'm fine with that, like being like what they did, right? My thing is, no one's talking about this after.
Right.
No one's going, hey, are they just assuming that Tony Stark pulled out the nuke and did it himself? Like what?
Yeah,
where did
that's
Tony
probably what the cover up would have been, honestly.
And Tony's just okay with that?
Like the average person just not caring. Yeah.
It's
like,
a bit. There should have been, and I'm not saying I wanted this in a movie or anything, because it probably would be dumb. Yeah, I think the average person would know there's a nuke, because how did Tony Stark stop it? How did Tony Stark stop it?
Dude, how does Tony Stark do anything? I feel like there would have been so much chaos going on that like no one knows what truly happened except for the Avengers.
I guess.
They probably did a shitty ass debrief because they're the Avengers, and then it instantly becomes Giga rank 10 classified shit, like.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm nitpicking here. They did get shawarma in the end. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. My nitpick is that shit makes me want to get a fucking gyro every time I see the shawarma shit, bro. I'm like, God damn.
So you're saying no one else knew, Sean, about the nuke? And I bet they killed that pilot immediately afterwards. Yeah, probably.
Well, no, he was a Skrull, so they didn't even need to.
Oh, he was the Skrull. No, you know who was the Skrull? The guy that tried to take off in the first jet that Nick Fury shot down. He was the Skrull.
True. Yeah.
He was the Skrull. I
also love the old man who gave Hulk the clothes.
What was Nick Fury gonna do with the pistol? He shoots the rocket at the one, the other one starts and he pulls out a pistol. The guy's like 3 football fields away from him at this point and taking off, and the motherfucker pulled a pistol on him. What is he gonna do?
You sometimes you grab whatever's nearby,
I guess so.
Like in the movies where like, oh, they think there's an intruder and motherfuckers grab like a lamp or something, and you're like, what the fuck are you gonna do with the lamp,
yeah,
bro?
Yeah, you can bust some heads open.
It's
with
just
lamps.
there. It's just there.
You can bust some heads open. All right, Jade, you got any nitpicks? That's all I had for nitpicks.
Not really. I mean, like, there's really just like we've said this a couple times already. Just the beginning feeling a little long, but only because the ending is so good.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
All right. So who is the MVP of this movie, Jason?
The MVP. It's got to be Iron Man, right? Like,
got to be Tony Stark, right?
He's got the funniest lines. He does the most badass shit while remaining funny as well. He's just goated as hell in this movie. Like, and I say that where like Thor has a lot of really cool moments. Hulk has a lot of really cool moments. Honestly, I feel like Captain America has less cool moments than like Hawkeye, in my opinion.
So here's this is a completely different tangent, but I think Joss Whedon's writing is terrible for Captain America. Like, I get the fish out of water thing. Like, I understand it. Like, Chris Evans himself was worried about Captain America seeming too dumb. And he was 100% right. They made him seem too... I get that reference. He just seems so stupid. And, like, it just doesn't... It's not right. And honestly, he's a little bit better in Age of Ultron, but not much. Like, he's still, like, kind of... It just doesn't... I don't know. I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't like him in this movie. Yeah, he thinks he's stupid too. Like, it's almost like he doesn't like the character. Like, and so he wrote him in a way that
Honestly,
was
low-key based. Not like King Captain America. Based.
right. So I don't know. It's just kind of I like Captain America. I just don't like him in this movie. Like he's not written well. He's like meant to be the person that's not fun. You know? He's like the Superman.
Like, yeah, he's a rule follower. Like, yeah, that type of shit. Yeah, exactly. He's like
He's
the
the
Superman,
Superman,
but like
and that's
if
annoying.
Superman was fucking useless, pretty much. You know,
Right.
like he can fight normal human beings, and like some trash tier aliens. Cool.
No. I like Captain America more than I like Superman. I'm just saying he's in the Superman role where he's on screen and I'm like,
Yeah, exactly. That's true. That's facts, actually.
you know.
That's actually facts.
But I love Captain America in Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier, and other movies.
Ain't no way, bruh.
I was about to say Civil War, but then I was like, wait, no.
No, Tony was right.
Yep, Tony was right. Can we get a hashtag Superman is mid in the chat, please?
True.
Anyway, before we tier list this one, Jay, do you have any other thoughts on the movie? Anything else in your notes?
Yeah. So, dude, Avengers was that very first movie that I remember feeling that like they did space pretty cool and pretty well. Like you get like that very unique like awe feeling.
Yeah.
Where especially when, Iron Man goes into the portal and shit, but like even before where they're showing like Loki talking to whatever the like Chitauri dude was.
What's his name?
I don't remember.
The one, the ancient one, the what's his name?
But like to me it's like only this movie and like Guardians has really made me feel that type of way where I was just like, yo, this is sick, bruh. Like we need more space shit now.
Yeah, I agree. They did a good job in the Marvel in the first time in the Marvel movies making, because like in Thor, like you could, they're in space, but they're like acting like they're the only part of space. And like there's rules that they have to follow to travel through space, but then they throw those out the window later.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Avengers does a good job of teasing like the galactic stuff that we get in Guardians for the first time, I think, later. But yeah, no, I agree. Any other high level thoughts on Avengers?
Not like an Avengers in general, but more just like I hope that the new show does a good job of wrapping up Nick Fury, if not like the next movie or whatever, because it definitely feels like Nick Fury kind of just fell off the face of the earth, and part of it is because he's literally not on Earth and is like the person on there is a fucking Skrull. But
did
like,
you ever
at the
end up
same
watching
time-
The Winter Soldier?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't know if you did or not.
Yeah, I've only watched like once or twice though, so
Okay.
I'm excited to rewatch that one.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, no, that show, they only released the first 2 episodes to critics, but is the lowest rated Marvel TV show on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Wow.
They only released the first 2 episodes though. So it's like, well, what? So we'll see. Yeah, Secret Invasion. I read that the
Secret
other day,
Invasion.
Sean. It's rated a 60. It's rated lower than She-Hulk after 2 episodes.
No way,
Yep.
bruh.
Yep. So
Damn.
we'll
That feels
see.
bad.
We'll see what happens there. I'm excited to watch that show though. I think that's what I read. Maybe I read a fake article, guys, but that's what I read.
You got hard drived. Unlucky.
That was not hard drive.
Baited.
Go look it up. Go look it up, guys.
Ain't no
Go look it up.
way. Mike's a scroll right now, dude.
I'm-
The stream bugged a second. Y'all didn't see. Mike got taken out and replaced with a scroll.
All right. So here's our current tier list of when we've re-tiered things or tiered them for the first time. We have Spider-Man No Way Home at the top of S, followed by Thor Ragnarok
Okay.
and Iron Man, all in S.
Okay.
In A tier, we have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which is going to make some people mauled, followed by Thor Love and Thunder.
Okay.
Then in B tier, we have Doctor Strange and Thor.
Mm-hmm.
And then in C tier, we have Thor the Dark World and the Eternals. In last. And the last time we talked about it, I was like, the Eternals might slide down into F tier. We'll see. So, we originally ranked Avengers.
It will. Spoilers.
We originally ranked Avengers S. How do you feel about that?
It's still S, IMO. It's still
I
S.
agree. I think it's still S, but I think we had it up at the top.
Yeah, I think it's the bottom of S right now.
I think it's below
We're
Iron
thinking
Man.
the same thing. We're thinking
I
the same
think-
thing.
I think Avengers has highs higher than any of these movies, but it has mids that are just below what these other movies like consistently deliver, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think part of it is definitely that it's the first collab, you know? They needed to figure out how these characters were going to work together on screen.
Diana calling the Turtles X-Turtles is fucking awesome.
Externals is in Jiminy tier, and there's never been anything more true.
X-Turtles. Eternals more like X-Turtles, am I right? So yeah, that we're gonna put Avengers in S still. I look at this list and wonder if I hate Marvel. Sean, I think you should look at any tier list and wonder if you hate everything. So
True.
that's
Except
where
for
we're at right
Eternals
now
randomly.
at the end of season 1. So here we are. We did 10 movies. Season 2, we don't have a plan as for what movie we're gonna do next. Jason and I have to talk about it, but we want to do it very soon and get started on it, and it will be on Patreon exclusively till the season's done. These episodes, for the people that are here right now, these episodes, I'm gonna start putting them up on YouTube for season 1, so you guys can watch all of them and catch up if you'd like. And it will be on Anchor. I just haven't made that Anchor platform yet, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, so that's gonna do it for this episode of Fine, I'll Do It Myself. Thank you guys for waiting patiently for it. We'll be back soon.
I've been
for
missing
season
Marvel.
2. Yeah, I know. We need to do it. I really enjoyed doing this. I had a lot of fun rewatching Avengers and ranking it and doing all that.
We were talking about this like more recent, like I guess it's a while ago now, but like I kind of want to go back through like Kingdom Hearts as well. Like I just feel like both Marvel and like Kingdom Hearts like just haven't had anything new for a while, you know.
I'm triggered by that for some reason. That made me seize.
What do you mean? Oh, like going back through
Kingdom Hearts. I don't know. You said Kingdom Hearts, and I was like, ah.
No, I just miss them, you know. Like
I know.
They're very important to me, and I feel like I've been like off the copium. Like actually not on the copium anymore.
Right.
Of both of these franchises, and I want to be back on it, you know?
Yeah. So we'll go back to Kingdom Hearts too, I guess. Which we always, if only we had a
As
Kingdom
well.
Hearts podcast.
Not Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts as well.
Yes.
Is what he meant to say.
Yeah, next thing you know, I'm gonna start speedrunning KH3 again. Yikes. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Jason, I think you say Excelsior to sign off this podcast.
Excelsior!
Okay, so this is the part where we pretend that we did this after the credits, but we got to talk the post-credit scenes.
Yeah, post-credit scene.
And then
post-credit scene,
Sean
guys.
listened to like 10 episodes before realizing that we did the post-credit scene after the credits. Like, he didn't learn anything from Marvel. Stay after the credits for the post-credit scene, dude. So, first post-credit scene is whatever that guy's name is, that Shatari guy that gets his neck snapped in Guardians of the Galaxy.
The stinky guy, yeah.
The stinky guy, the stinky one. The other. And he's like, so the humans are unruly. They cannot be ruled. To take them on would be to court death. And then grimace-ass Thanos stands up. He's like, hey, yo, Death, that's my girl.
That's my girl.
He'd be looking like Grimace, though.
Yeah.
It's good they redesigned him. Happy birthday, Grimace! It's Grimace's birthday. The purple one. So
on Father's Day, really?
I read that this was like Joss Whedon's idea completely. When writing the script, he was like, hey, there needs to be somebody behind Loki, and who better for it to be than Thanos? And so
Wow.
I think they eventually planned something around this. You know what I mean? I think they originally did, and then they were like, hey, like we got to do this Thanos thing now, and they actually like took it seriously. You know what I mean? So it's
Yes,
like
we have that to thank for what the big baddie was for the first arc. If
he
you
looks
will.
rough though. Here,
Yeah. He
ball
does not look
sack
great.
Grimace,
Yeah.
and then the
Yeah,
other
he's so much better now.
Yeah. The other post-credit scene is
Post-credit scene 2. The best scene. It's Kino.
It's all of them eating shawarma, like
It's
Tony
Kino.
suggested. Famously, Chris Evans had already started shooting Snowpiercer, which he shaved his head and grew a beard, so that he had to wear a wig and a prosthetic face over his beard. And he's not even eating. He just kind of has his hand on his face like this to hide his face because he looked like terrible with the prosthetic.
Yeah.
And they shot this like very soon before the movie came out. Even like it wasn't. They didn't shoot this when it was like going on.
It was like
obviously.
last second pickups.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it's just kind of funny, you know. They're just sitting there eating shawarma, and that's it. You know, a good post credit scene in my opinion. Like, just the stand-in for Thanos was one of the guys that works for Crossbones at the beginning of Civil War. Really? Who Black Widow fights in the market. Kind of funny. Shout-outs to Greg Miller. Ain't that right, Jason? Jason cannot escape Greg Miller, even if he tries. What? Kind of funny. That's what his fucking YouTube channel's called. That's the joke Tyler's making, and I said kind of funny.
What?
So anyway, those are the post-credit scenes. That's how this works. Okay, bye.